All right, let's take a look at our practice test. We're told to solve each equation for the given variable. And for the first problem, we're asked to solve for c. And what we have is f is equal to 9/5 times c, then plus 32. So let me write this again. This is f is equal to, we have 9/5, which is multiplied by c, and then plus 32. So you might notice that this is the temperature conversion formula for going from a temperature in Celsius to a temperature in Fahrenheit. Okay, so we're actually going to solve this for C, and we're now going to have a formula that allows us to plug in something for Fahrenheit and get a temperature out in Celsius. So if I want to isolate this C guy right here on one side of the equation, the very first thing I need to do is isolate the term that contains C in it. So I want to isolate this guy first. So how do I do that? Well, I have this plus 32 that's being added to it, so I would subtract that away from both sides of the equation. So let's go minus 32 over here on the right, and let's go minus 32 over here on the left. On the right, this is going to cancel and become 0. So on the left, let's write this as f, and then I'm going to go minus 32 is equal to, I have 9/5 multiplied by c. Now, because I like what I'm solving for to be on the left-hand side, I can legally just switch this around and write this as 9/5 times c like this is equal to f minus 32. You don't have to do that. It's just my personal preference. And what I'm going to do from here, if I want to isolate c, again, what's being done to c? It's being multiplied by 9/5. So I can divide both sides of the equation by 9/5 to get rid of that, or more quickly, I can just multiply by 5/9. So I'm going to multiply this side by 5/9 and make sure you use parentheses there because 5/9 is multiplied by the f and also the negative 32. And of course, this guy right here is going to cancel. This is just 1. So what we get is c is equal to this 5/9 times the quantity f minus 32. And you can leave it like this, or you could distribute the 5/9 into each term. It's really going to be up to you. I'll just leave my answer like this. All right, let's look at problem number 2. We're asked to solve for t. And that t there is actually standing for time. This is a formula you may know from solving motion word problems. We're going to get to this in the next section, where distance is equal to the rate of speed times the amount of time traveled. So t is for time traveled. So I'm just going to solve for t. And to do that, again, what's being done to t? It's being multiplied by r. So I can just divide both sides here by r, and it's going to cancel over here and be 1. And so essentially what I get is that t, or the time, is equal to, we're going to have the d, or the distance traveled, divided by the r, or the rate of speed. Okay, so this is solved for time. All right, let's take a look at problem number 3 now. So we're told to solve for f, and of course, this is us solving for Fahrenheit. We saw this formula earlier. Right now, we can plug something in for Fahrenheit, and we'll get a temperature in Celsius, but we're going to reverse that. So let me just rewrite this. We have c is equal to 5/9, then times the quantity f minus 32. Okay, so to solve for f, what you could do first is use your distributive property. So you could distribute the 5/9 to the f, and then you could distribute the 5/9 to the negative 32. But I think it would be much quicker here to divide both sides of the equation by 5/9, or of course you could just multiply by the reciprocal, which is 9/5. So what that is going to do for us is clear this part right here. And so on the left-hand side, I have my 9/5 times c. On the right-hand side, I just have the f minus 32. If I want to solve this guy for f, what do I need to do? Well, right now I just have this 32 that's being subtracted away, or you can think about that as adding negative 32, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to add 32 to both sides of the equation. And again, I like my variable that I'm solving for on the left. So I'm just going to rewrite this and say that I have f is equal to, we'll say on the right-hand side, we have this 9/5 c, and then plus 32. So in other words, now I could plug something in for Celsius, multiply by 9/5, and then add 32, and I'd have my temperature in Fahrenheit. Okay, let's look at problem number 4. We're asked to solve for h, and this h here is going to be height. So v for volume is equal to L, which is the length, times W, which is the width, times h, which is the height. So we're solving for h, or the height. And again, all you're doing here is you're trying to isolate h on one side. So what's being done to it? It's being multiplied by the L and the W. So let's divide both sides of the equation by L times W. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to cancel this L with this L and this W with this W. And you'll have height isolated on the right. And of course, you could switch that around. I'm going to put H on the left, and I'll set this equal to, I'll put the V, which is the volume, over the L, which is the length, times the W, which is the width. Okay, let's look at problem number 5. We're asked to solve for H, which is height again. This is for the area of a triangle. That's where this formula comes from. So the area is equal to 1/2 times the base times the height. So if I want to solve for height, again, I've got to undo what's being done to it. It's being multiplied by 1/2 b. Okay, so I'm going to multiply here by the reciprocal of that, which is basically going to be 2 over b. Okay, you can think about this. Let me erase this and put this as b over 2 so this is more clear. And then I'll multiply this side by 2 over b like this. And then again, we can show this as canceling. So this 2 with this 2 and this b with this b. And on the right-hand side, I just have h by itself. So it's solved for the height like I wanted. And I'll say h, the height of this given triangle, is equal to, we're going to have 2 times a, which is your area, over your b, which is going to be your base. Okay, let's look at problem number 6. We're asked to solve for x. So here we have this a is equal to 2xy squared plus 2xyz. So if I want to solve for x, you would notice that you have it here and you have it here. So normally the first step is to move all the variable terms with that variable in it to one side, but we actually already have that. So now what I'm going to do is actually factor things and say that I have a is equal to, I'm going to pull the x out in front of a set of parentheses because it's here and here. So again, I'm just pulling that out right there. Inside the parentheses, I'm going to have 2y squared, and then plus, I'm going to have 2yz. Okay, now I didn't pull out everything that was common because I'm trying to solve for x. So I'm getting that out here so I can isolate it. Now I have it as x being multiplied by some quantity. Okay, so if I want x by itself, I just need to undo this multiplication. And of course, I can do that with division. I can divide both sides here by the quantity 2y squared plus 2yz like this. And I don't think I gave myself enough room. Let me do this on this side. So this is the quantity 2y squared plus 2yz like this. And of course, this is going to cancel. And we'll have, I'm just going to write this in a different order. I'm going to put x on the left. This will be equal to, you have your a over this 2y squared plus 2yz. And then, of course, you might want to report an answer with a factored denominator. This is completely optional. It's really up to your teacher. I'm going to put a over from the denominator here. I'm going to factor out a 2y. And I'm just going to have a y plus z inside. So again, either of these answers would be acceptable if you're doing self-study. If you're in a course, then just ask your teacher what they prefer. All right, let's take a look at problem number 7. We're asked to solve for x. Let's slide down here for a moment. We have y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times the quantity x minus x sub 1. So many of you remember this formula from basic algebra. This is the point slope form of a line. And we'll get to this later on in the course. For right now, we want to solve for x. Let me rewrite this. I'm actually going to switch the sides. So I'm going to put m times the quantity x minus x sub 1 is equal to y minus y sub 1. And the first thing I'm going to do, since I'm trying to solve for x there, you could use your distributive property and multiply m by x and then m by this negative x sub 1. But I think it's a lot quicker to just divide both sides of the equation by m so that we can just clear that and not have to worry about it. So that's going to cancel. And then it becomes pretty simple what I need to do. I have x minus x sub 1 is equal to y minus y sub 1 over m. Let's slide down here a little bit. Well, what's being done to this x is I'm subtracting away this x sub 1. So I need to undo that. So I'm just going to add x sub 1 to both sides of the equation. And so I'm going to say that this cancels. And we have x is equal to y minus y sub 1 over m, and then plus this x sub 1. Now, you can leave your answer like this, or if you wanted to have a common denominator, which many teachers would want that, it's really up to them, what you could do is you could multiply this x sub 1 by m over m. So you could say you have x is equal to y minus y sub 1. Again, if I multiply this by m over m, this would be plus m times x sub 1 over the common denominator of m. So however you want to report your answer, it's really up to your teacher. If you're doing self-study, then just pick one. Okay, let's look at problem number 8. So we're asked here to solve for z. So what we have is y is equal to negative az minus b over xz. So I've got to get everything with z, all those terms, to one side of the equation. And right now you have this guy and you have this guy. So what can I do? Well, the first thing is I can multiply both sides by xz. So I would have xzy is equal to, if I multiply this side by xz, it's going to cancel. So negative az minus b. So I've got to move this term over here, or you could move this term over here. It's really up to you. But I've got to get all the terms with z in it to one side. So let's slide down here, and let's add az to both sides of the equation. And we'll say that we have az plus, and I'm just going to write this as xyz. And then we'll say this is equal to negative b. Okay, let's slide down here. So we saw this earlier. How can I get z by itself? Well, I have it here, and I have it here, and so I can factor it out, right? Because this is addition here. So what I'm going to do is pull this out in front of a set of parentheses. So I'll have z times the quantity a plus xy, like this. And this equals the negative of b. This quantity here is multiplying z. I can divide both sides by this a plus xy. So divide by a plus xy. You could use the parentheses or not. It really doesn't matter. It only matters here. So let's just go ahead and cancel this with this. And we'll say z is equal to negative b over this a plus xy. Or, of course, you could write xy plus a. Really, again, it's up to you how you want to write it. All right, let's look at problem number 9. We're asked to solve for z. Let's slide down here. We have yz plus m is equal to z plus 4 over x minus 1. So if I'm solving for z, again, I've got to get all the terms with z in it to one side of the equation, everything else to the other. So what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by the quantity x minus 1 so I can clear this denominator. So let's go yz plus m times the quantity x minus 1. This will be equal to z plus 4. So let's start with that. So here I'm going to use FOIL. We have yzx. Let me change colors here. So we'll have yzx. So let me write xyz. And then we'll have minus this yz. And then plus mx and minus m. So that's what this side is going to simplify to. And then you have equals z plus 4. Okay, so I want to solve this for z. So again, you have a z here, you have a z here, and you have a z here. So I want to take all the terms with z and move them over to one side. Move everything else to the other. So I'm going to subtract z away from here, and I'm going to subtract mx away from here, and add m to here, and add m to here. Let me slide down. What does that give us? We're going to have x, y, z minus yz minus z. This is going to cancel. This is going to cancel. This equals. This is going to cancel. So you have 4 minus mx and then plus m. If I look at this guy again, you have your z, your z, your z. You could factor that out. And so let's pull that out in front of a set of parentheses and put z here. And you'll have xy minus y and then minus 1. This equals 4 minus mx and then plus m. And if we want to solve for z, we can simply divide both sides of the equation by this xy minus y minus 1. I'm going to divide over here. Again, you don't need parentheses. So I'm going to do xy minus 1. And let's go ahead and cancel this with this. We'll say that z is equal to this 4 minus mx and then plus m over xy and then minus y and then minus 1. All right, let's look at problem number 10. We're asked to solve for x. I'm just going to tell you in advance, this one's pretty tedious. So we have on the left this m squared x minus a squared x. So let me actually wrap this in parentheses. And what we're going to do, to clear this denominator, I'm going to multiply both sides by this quantity y plus 1. And this will be equal to, you'll have your z plus b minus x. Now what I'm going to do actually is add x to each side of the equation now, just to get rid of it. So I'm going to put plus x here and plus x here, and I'll cancel it from over here. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do FOIL over here and then just add x to that. So let's just say m squared x times y. That's going to be m squared xy. And then this is going to be times 1. So plus m squared x. And then we're going to go minus this guy times this guy. So a squared xy. And then lastly, it's going to be this guy times this guy. So it's minus, and we're multiplying by 1. So a squared x. Okay. No like terms to combine. So I'm just going to add. Remember, I have this plus x here. So I'm going to put plus x there. And this equals z plus b. So basically on the left-hand side, everything has an x. You have an x there, and there, and there, and there, and there. On the right-hand side, you don't have an x. So basically the first part where you get all the variable terms to one side and everything else to the other, that's done. So what I would do here is actually factor the x out. So pull it out from there, and there, and there, and there, and there. And if you pull that out, you have an x out in front, and then you have the m squared y plus the m squared, and then minus the a squared y, and then minus the a squared, and then basically plus 1. Okay, so this equals your z plus b. And of course, to get x by itself, I'm just going to divide both sides by this. So I'm going to divide both sides by this m squared y plus m squared minus a squared y minus a squared plus 1. Let me do this over here. Who knows if I can fit this? So I'm going to try. So m squared y plus m squared minus a squared y minus a squared plus 1. Okay, so it looks like it does fit. So this is going to cancel, right? So same thing over itself. As long as it's not 0, it's always going to be 1. So this is going to be x is equal to, you have your z plus b, and this is over. Let's go ahead and say m squared y, and then plus m squared, and then minus a squared y, and then minus a squared, and then plus 1. So that would be your solution. Again, how you want to arrange things is really up to you, but this is what you can put for your answer.